Hello and welcome to the 39th episode of the Saints Prime podcast. I'm joined here with Harry.
Hi.
I'm here with Jamie.
Hello.
And I'm here with Mikey.
Hello.
All right. You guys seem in good spirits today.
I'm
How's it
fine.
going?
Everyone apart from Mikey.
Yeah.
You know.
Why?
Oh, no, Mikey seemed quite happy.
Why
Seemed
am
alright.
I always unhappy? Eh? Why?
That's
That's a question you should be asking yourself, Mikey. Not.
I'm
I don't think
finally
I'm
back
happy.
in Southampton. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. You're
All
going to
we're
be
waiting on now is Ollie and Harry to come home from uni.
Yeah.
Then we'll all be reunited with this Christmas special podcast.
Well, we'll be reunited going up to the Villa game, won't we? We're going to go and watch the Villa game. We'll do a Christmas pod. We'll go and watch the Huddersfield FA Cup game. Well, me and Jamie are. Not sure about the other two, but yeah, a couple of us will go. So yeah, watch a couple of games about Christmas. It's going to be exciting.
I'm looking forward to the Christmas Day podcast.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, yeah, that'd be good.
Christmas Day is a bit.
Called it
Yeah.
Record it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
don't
yeah,
want to
so
know.
let's go to questions first, Harry. We've got some questions. Should we explain how we get them in? Well, I'll explain while you're getting them up, Harry. Or if they got them up.
They're already up.
They're all ready to go.
Oh,
Right, smash through them then.
Tizzard,
Smash through
smashing
them.
it today.
I popped them up quickly. There
Oh,
we
we've got
go.
them up. Go on then.
Dan Hurst.
Yes,
You
the
got
Hurst.
it,
Come on.
boy.
Hurst.
I
Yeah,
tipped
but yeah.
Bournemouth to go down at the start of the season. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, they're on terrible form at the moment, aren't they? How many games they lost in a row now?
5, I believe. Or is it more?
Last time I saw it was
7.
five.
I don't know if it's no win in 7.
Yeah, I know they've lost. I think it's either 5 or 6 in a row. Mikey's going to get the supercomputer
I think-
now.
Isn't it? Didn't you say, Mikey, that the last time they won was against us? Is that
Oh no, the
correct?
last
Yeah.
time they won was against Manchester United.
Right,
when
okay. So I
Solskjaer
think
did-
they've lost 5 in a
Or
row.
away
now.
from home. It must be away from home. The last time they won was against us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm delighted. in
It's,
certain ways.
but it's a mix of injuries they've had and just a
They've had 1 win in 11.
wow.
And having a bad striker called Callum Wilson, who shouldn't be in the England squad. Right, Danny Ings should be.
right, Jamie. Okay.
Oh,
Who said that? Who said that? I don't know.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, you guys thought any other thoughts on Bournemouth's chances to get relegated? Do you reckon they can turn it around? Seems like Eddie
Yeah.
Howe can normally turn it around. So yeah, do you have any
I think they've already reached their peak, but I think there's definitely 3 worse teams in the division. So I think they'll stay up. To be fair,
I don't know, because they've got, like, David Brooks is still out, and he's going to be out for a while. They've now got Nathan Ake, who's out. Steve Cook's suspended for the next couple of games. They're missing quite a few key players. Problem is, if Callum Wilson's not on form, they're not
What's the
scoring.
goals?
So
Also, looks like Ake's off to Chelsea as well for 40 million.
All right.
Rumour has it.
Ryan Fraser's not really been in form this year. Harry Wilson probably hasn't had the impact that they wanted him to. So
I think he's done quite
like-
well. To be fair,
Yeah, but it's the only
All
player
right,
doing
but-
penalties. That's the problem.
Yeah,
And
he's
they
scored
got
a couple
Chelsea-
of free kicks.
Yeah, they got
He's-
Chelsea next as well, and they've got Burnley and Arsenal in their next 2 after that. So, couple of sticky fixtures there. But I guess knowing Bournemouth, they do normally turn it around. So yeah, we'll see what happens. See if they do. Let's get it back onto Saints. Tiz, next question.
Yeah,
so that's the next one is from Dan Hurst 96.
Again.
Once again,
Again.
I'm not too upset about Newcastle result as they can take points out of the top 6 at home. So he's just saying Newcastle are good at home. Overall, they've not lost since the first day of the season, so he's not too upset with the result.
Well, we did a reaction podcast to this, the one before episode 38. Little plug there. So if you do want to hear our in-depth analysis of it straight after the game, then you can go and listen to that. But yeah,
I just, if we just sort of round just that last thoughts on the game. Like what is everyone's last thoughts on the game?
I think we kind of talked about the fact that we were just disappointed with the run of the game. You know, you didn't really expect too much out of the game, but it always seems like Saints, it's the situation we get ourselves in, and then it's the fact that we've gone back to previous form of, going ahead early and then losing it after mounting pressure. That we thought we saw a slight deviation from that, but now it's kind of gone back to that a little bit. That's my concern from it. But yeah, Your guys?
So that's about it, really, Ollie. You kind of did a good summary there of our thoughts
Mike,
sort of
what
from
were your
episode
thoughts?
38.
I wasn't overly worried about it because usually we don't get points up there, and
No.
it's usually the reverse. If we don't get points up there, we'll get points down at St Mary's because they've got the long travel to go to. They don't really like it, so yeah, I would say if we'll get points in the reverse fixture hopefully, and it shouldn't be too much to worry about. I would have thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. No, I think you've summed up
Smash
well.
into the next question.
Dan
Go for
Hurst, 96. Redmond
Number
lost
3. He's got a
confidence or
hat-trick.
easy to defend against. So, which one do you think? He's lost confidence, or he's not quite as effective as he was last season in terms of defenders have got used to.
Wait, who was that again?
Dan Hurst, 96.
No. The question
Redmond.
who he is about
Redmond.
Redmond. Okay, sorry. Redmond. I think people like to know he likes to cut inside from the left. So I think I saw it a couple of games where he was been showing out wide when he was on the left, and he just wasn't taking them on the left because he didn't have that confidence. I think it was Mikey that mentioned it. He saw Boufal being able to go down the line and putting that final ball in on his left, whereas Redmond doesn't really have that option. So maybe that's kind of been picked up now. People are briefing them and saying, just show him the line. He's not going to... He'll either turn back and pass it because he hasn't got that confidence, or just don't let him come inside and have the shot. So yeah, I think that's kind of a slight difference. But yeah, any other kind of thoughts that you guys have on why he's been less effective this season?
I think you're right, Ollie. Everyone's kind of realised with Redmond last season, all he would do would cut inside and get past the player.
Yeah.
And once you kind of figure that one out, there's nothing more he can really do apart from trying maybe change his game. That could probably take a pre-season. I just think this season's not his for him. It's not the one for him. Next season he'll bounce back.
Wow. Okay.
Change up his play style.
Jamie rolling out the whole season. Mike Tiz, your thoughts?
I wouldn't. I think Harry, you talk because I need to try and
Mike,
I just think he was in a purple patch last season, and I think because he knew how important it was to the team overall, he had to sort of take that step up. Now we've brought in players, and obviously he's had that season break, so he wasn't continuously playing games when he was in that good form. I think it's just sort of shows that he's just an average Premier League winger at the moment. Like, he's not doing anything extraordinary in terms of goal and assist output. He's just doing that average amount of get a couple here and there all season. You let the strikers get the goals, get the assists.
I'll argue that people coming towards the end of last season, they saw that Redmond was probably the key player for us. So when they do come down, they think, right, if we stop Redmond, we can probably stop us playing. And that's the problem, is teams are now getting tighter, marking wise, and working out how to stop Redmond. But hopefully that will also open up other avenues for players to exploit as well. So if they've doubled up or maybe got one man marking on Redmond, maybe that then makes Bertrand's role more important, and then Bertrand can then get on the overlap, and because that's how it seemed to work. Redmond would cut inside and Bertrand would go on the overlap. So I think Redmond's form also coincides with Bertrand's effort and how much Bertrand wants to run an overlap. And currently this season, we haven't seen the full potential of Ryan Bertrand in the overlap. So I don't know if it's just down to Redmond, the fact that he's stuck on the 2-on-1 most of the time, with either a second centre-back or the winger tracking back. And maybe Bertrand has to support, or there has to be a supporting run from the midfield or the striker.
And also, if they do switch wings and he comes to the right, I don't think Redmond and Cedric have a especially good pairing if he does come over to that right. I don't think he kind of stays on that left with Bertrand because they link up fairly well. And although I don't think Bertrand and Boufal have that kind of connection yet, I still think Boufal is very effective in creating, making something out of nothing. That's what we've signed him for, and we know he can do. We've obviously seen wonder goals and brilliant pieces of skill. It's whether they come off or not. And it just seems like Redmond doesn't really make those. With that bit of confidence, just doesn't really make those risks anymore. Playing it kind of safe, and it's kind of limiting his game to a kind of standstill at the moment, a 5 and 6 out of 10s rather than taking those risks and potentially getting 8s or 9s or 4s and 5s kind of thing. I think he's happy just to play it safe.
He shouldn't be dropped. There's no way he should be dropped, because it's not like he's had no impact on games, and it's not like that he's not trying and not putting effort in. And like I find our fan base incredibly frustrating. So a year ago, Redmond was being sold. 6 months ago, he was our best player and on the Knocking of England squad, and we were really going at. Now he's one of our worst players again, and like he should be dropped and not in the starting 11. So you just have to stick with players. You have to keep supporting them. There's no point in like just kicking him out the team where he's done all right. I know we've got Boufal on the bench, but currently, like Boufal's had two good impacts off the bench, and I'd much prefer to have Redmond for 60 minutes, and then if we need him, we'll bring Boufal on for the last half an hour, and he can have a good impact instead of having Boufal out there for 60 minutes and then bringing on Redmond.
Yeah.
I'd say Redmond's the more reliable player of the two. Boufal will one game he'll be like Messi, the next game he'll be like I don't know.
Gary Taylor-Fletcher.
That's, yes.
Oh, what's the name? Where did that come from? Jesus Christ. Okay.
He scored away at Old Trafford to try and get Blackpool up, all right? So leave Gary Taylor-Fletcher out.
At the end of last season to the start of this one, I think he's also had a bit of a role change as well, in terms of he used to play sort of that just off the forwards, and now he's playing off the wing. So he's not expected to have such a high goal contribution either. In terms of, he used to be on the end of the final ball, or used to be the one always taking the shot. Now he's the one crossing it in, playing it across to Danny Ings, rather than, it's not his responsibility to take the shots off as much this season. So he won't have the same level because he doesn't have that level of responsibility in the team.
Yeah.
I think the change in formation has affected it, because now we've only got 4 in that midfield instead of 3 up front. He had a lot more of a back. When we got 5 at the back, that gives a little bit more freedom to the 3 up front. And now he does have to track back and support the full back. Instead of last year, where we basically just kept him up front with Ings, and then whoever, I think Ward-Prowse is on the right, he'd drop back into a midfield 3. So he's definitely got more defensive responsibility as well.
Okay. Next question.
Right. The fourth and final from Dan Hurst, 96, is all these goalkeeper coaches and still we parry into dangerous areas. Come on, this is basic goalkeeping. What do you think?
Jamie, as a fellow goalkeeper, can you
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
Dear.
Your analysis on the
union.
I let go of my legs rather than parry it away, personally. But
Right.
yeah, I don't understand really as to why this has happened. I don't know. To me, as an outsider, because obviously I'm not a coach, I don't understand as to why they don't teach him to obviously attempt to catch it and jump onto the ball, or parry it a little bit and jump onto it.
It's a low shot, isn't it? So he's got to come down onto the ball. So it's too, and the thing is, it moves so much as well that I think it was a reactionary save, and you can see he dropped instead of. It's not a stand up and catch because it had so much movement on the ball. He was preparing, or he almost took his split step and moved to the side, and then almost came back on it and kind of came down and pushed it because it had that movement on the ball. So it was quite a difficult shot to, I think, to try and interpret, and it meant that he probably didn't get the parry either out to the sides rather than straight on, because it met the oncoming player in a perfect angle, really.
Okay.
Thing is, it's a long shot, and there was a lot of bodies because it just came from a corner or a free kick, or I can't really remember it. But there were a lot of bodies in the way, so he probably saw it quite late. The shot was low, it was dipping, and it was moving a lot.
Yeah.
So the fact that he even got something on it is good for him. And the problem is that because there wasn't a lot of height on it, he can't really tip it over the crossbar because there wasn't. It was moving a lot. He couldn't really get a strong hand behind it. And where he positioned and where he moved and the ball moved away, he couldn't really get a full fist on it. I think it's quite unfortunate for McCarthy that, yes, it's another one where it's a difficult shot to save and he probably hasn't dealt with it the best he possibly could have. Yeah. But it is a tough shot to save. That's the problem. And again, you just got to give him the benefit of the doubt that it may have been a mistake. It may have been just him.
Yeah. No, we previously mentioned as well on the on our reaction one, in the fact that we didn't move out very quickly. If you think there's a lot of congestion around there, so if we moved out very quickly and set our line on the 18-yard line, if he did see it late and parried it out, then hopefully the person running on should have either been offside or trapped. So
no, we did move out. We did get to the edge. It was Bagnaret who was lagging behind. That was the problem.
Well, that's what I mean. You should have everyone in line,
out,
shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
If
set your
everyone
line.
had moved out and got to the 18, they wouldn't have scored, and McCarthy
Exactly.
would have come.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Tiz, any other kind of thoughts about McCarthy's save, or
What's difficult about it was that it wasn't straight at, like you said, it wasn't straight at him, so he could just sort of snuggle it, and it wasn't really far, so he could just push it out, like push it right round the post. It was just sort of that awkward halfway bit where he can't really parry it, he can't really hold it. So I have sympathy in him for that bit, but you know he should be getting it out of that dangerous area. And I don't know, is that goalkeeper training? Is that his just poor decision making? I'm not too sure. Yeah. Then again, I don't know how much of an impact our new goalkeeper coach is, because as much as I've seen a few training sessions from, I think he has a YouTube channel for when he was back in South Africa, and they looks good. I'm not a good person to judge because I don't know what quantifies a good goalkeeping training session.
Fancy word. Yeah.
The thing is as well. I think this will probably be the last point on it, but like, it's not always down to the goalkeeping coach. You can coach whoever to try and make the right saves and do the right thing at the right time, but if the goalkeeper has just made the mistake, it's nothing down to coaching. It's a bit like most of the goals we conceded this year. Probably most of them aren't down to Ralph. It's just the fact that there's been the individual mistake, the wrong decision made, and the goal's been conceded through that wrong decision. Like you probably, like Jack Stevens with the Watford goal, Jack Stevens could have just lumped it out of play. But instead, he's tried to take a touch and play it back to the goalkeeper, and in turn, he's literally just knocked it straight into the path of the Watford player. You can't really coach anything out of that. You can then react and teach him how to do it, but you don't expect your centre back to basically pass the ball into the path of Sarr. So it is one down to coaching and trying to coach the errors out. But once you're in the game, and if a player's just made a mistake, there's not a lot a coach can actually do about that, except from the next week try and work on it. And I would be interested to see how much parrying coaching they actually do, because I've seen a lot of the England videos where they've released it on their YouTube channel, and most of them you catch the ball. So it'd be interesting to see how many actually work on actually parrying the ball out and trying to parry the ball over the crossbar. Because even in the warm up, it's all about catching. So,
yeah, very, very true, very true. Tiz. Should we next question?
Saints FP lineup predictions for West Ham United. We'll do that later in this podcast. So
we'll do that a bit later.
Gavin Wilbur, should we start Che Adams this weekend? We seem to get this question every single week from someone new, because Che Adams is always on the bench and only ever gets 10 minutes. So what's your newest update on Che Adams? What do you think right now? Quick, just 1 minute. Talk about, do you think Che Adams should start?
Che Long's been doing well so far. Give him his run. If options need freshen up, then give Che Adams a chance.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's probably got some confidence from sitting back and actually learning from other players. However, I don't think he should be starting, as like Ollie just said then. Shane Long has had a very good run of form recently. It's not very fair to drop him. Just to put in a player who may not do the same amount of effort as him. Not saying that Che wouldn't, but it's just not very... Schoolboy sort of thing. It's not very fair. So.
Mr. Maver, your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I think Long and Ings are developing a very nice partnership up there, so I don't think we should drop either of them.
No, fair play.
If it's not broken, don't... I know we lost the last game, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. White Horn Simon, I believe. January transfer around the corner. Will Ralph be busy? And if yes, who was he bring in?
I've only just seen this. That we have been linked with Barcelona centre-back Jean.
I forgot to mention that.
Who? Sorry, who's that?
I don't know how to pronounce his name. Basically, a Barcelona centre-back, a young lad. We're supposedly interested in signing him. Jean Claire Dodie, Thibaut. Shut up, Jamie.
Yeah.
So where do you think we have to strengthen? And it's hard to give specifics because we normally get them from random leagues. People from random.
We need experience right now. We need experienced heads who can actually lead a side. Like it's like these players. It's whether like it's one of the two. You've either got to accept the fact that mistakes will be made and let these players grow into their own leaders, or you sign leaders at the moment to help the players actually sort them out. Like it's one of the two. I can see Bednarek becoming quite a leader at centre back. I can see Højbjerg becoming a leader in central midfield. I can see Ings being a leader up top. Yeah. And the problem is trying to get. It's either you let them become the leaders and develop and learn throughout, or you get mentors for them.
Yeah.
I've seen Aaron Long, but he's probably not the right player to bring in right now because he doesn't have experience. You don't really know what you're going to get with him. You see, like all these players under the age of 24. It's like if they're not born leaders, then I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's true. I haven't really given too much thought to players we need to sign because I think, like Mike summed up there, it's not necessarily the quality that we lack. It's the performance and the experience that we're kind of lacking on, which you kind of get from youthful players, in the fact that we throw away games late on, a little bit of just leadership there. The fact that our captain's how old's Højbjerg? 24?
24, yeah.
He's really not old at all, yeah.
No, so it's quite difficult to try and have that leadership and that respect for a captain when he's only 24 himself and regularly gets cards and red cards. It's quite difficult to see a captain. You know, he should be someone you look up to and say, you have my utmost respect. And does Højbjerg really have that kind of...
I don't know about like the upwards. I think they respect Højbjerg. I think everyone respects each other in that dressing room. It's just about, like, experience, more like. Because I mean, they're still growing. Like you look at the four oldest players currently in our team. Shane Long's 32. You look at him. You don't really see a leader like behind. Like he doesn't seem like a leader. Yoshida, who does seem like a leader, he's 31. Bertrand's 30, and Alex McCarthy's 30. Yeah. And then we've got 28, 27, and then a lot of like 25, 24, 23. 21. Like we don't have a lot of age in the squad, and the leaders that we actually haven't really been starting over the last couple of games. So it's tough.
It's difficult, but I think we're looking for someone with a bit of experience, maybe someone that is happy to kind of be a squad rotational player, but someone that can do a little bit of everything. I think in midfield we're a little bit. We've got someone who can do. I mean, Ward-Prowse is a good worker, getting box to box, and I think Højbjerg's the same kind of idea. So maybe something that possesses something slightly different, maybe than what we've got. Maybe just a different option, really.
I would say we probably need a playmaker in the midfield who can bring the ball out. We maybe need another centre back, but the problem is you can't just keep throwing centre backs into a poor defence. You need a strong defence to be able to do that. And I can't really think
No, I don't have any specific names, but is there any more questions? We can go back to transfers
that is all the questions, yeah.
Well, we'll keep going with transfers then, just because I've seen that Neil Lennon said that he wants to sign Fraser Forster to Celtic at all costs, he says. But apparently our valuation for him is 25 million.
What
now? I can't remember who it was, but they came out into the who was it? Yeah, Danny Mills came out and said that he believed that was relatively cheap for Forster's performance for Celtic at the moment. So
fair play.
There's a lot of
Danny.
Good in profit as well, boys.
Yeah, it seems like Celtic are loving him up there. If we kind of shipped him off, obviously that would help with transfer kitty to bring in new players.
Just touching on Forster, from the press conference, Hassan Hootel talks about Fraser Forster. Says he's happy with Forster getting the game time and having the confidence. He will be at Celtic till the end of the season. He's not thinking about recalling him however, and he's not thinking about recalling him.
Oh,
So
right, okay.
it looks like he may be given another chance here, but I think it's more down to whether he wants to have another chance at Southampton or whether he wants to go back to Celtic. I think that's what it's going to come down to, and I think at the moment he'd want to go back to Celtic.
Do you think we'd force him to stay? Because
No. We didn't do that with anyone, did we? We didn't force Van Dijk to stay.
No, but like, I
don't
think Celtic would pay much money for him. In terms of, I don't think they've got the money to spend 20, 25 million on a goalkeeper. I think the most they'd spend would be 10 to 15. Because I don't think like that's a massive priority for them. Because they're going to win the league every year. They're going to win the cup every year. Whatever happens, a goalkeeper doesn't really help that much.
Yeah, he's had very good performances in Europe, and I think you've seen it there that he's really happy where he is at the moment. And he was hounded by the Saints fans. He had to delete his own Twitter because the amount of abuse he was getting online. And he's on brilliant confidence at the moment. But if he comes back, has a shaky pre-season, we're stuck with him again. You know, we saw him play against West Ham and he conceded 3, and everyone's saying, he's getting nowhere near the first team. Well, we're just going to have to wait for his contract to run out now. And suddenly we're seeing £25 million evaluation for him. I think it's if we can get that sort of price for him, and we've been a very nice club. Tadic's come out in the press and said that Southampton allowed him to move on to Ajax, into the right place that he wanted to go in his career. We could have forced him to move to China and got a lot more money for him, but the fact is we wanted to have a good reputation, and now he's withstanding the Southampton reputation by showing we've got yet another player that's moved on and playing Champions League football. Well, not anymore, but he was playing Champions League football for the
got to a Champions League semi-final last year. So.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. Like it's a good representation of the club if a player has moved on from us and is doing well. And I think if we can get some money from Forster, he can continue his good form up in Celtic. I think we should be happy to leave it at that. I think that's that's my ramble.
Yeah.
Your guys' thoughts?
Fair enough. Yeah, I just
if. In an ideal world, I'd love him to come back because I think out of the 3 goalkeepers we currently have, he's better than both McCarthy and Gunn. Like natural ability-wise, he's better. But when he was on poor confidence, that's when his ability dropped. But it's whether you want to bring back a 31-year-old who's probably tethering towards the end of his career, or you want to give Gunn another go. And Gunn's supposed to be this goalkeeper we have for the next 15 years, and he's going to be a main stake in the side. On form at the moment, I'd love to see Forster come back, but in the long run, I think Gunn's the better option. I think we should stick with Gunn. Maybe give him another chance over Christmas to try and get his place back. Especially if McCarthy keeps making these mistakes and keep having the fans on his back. Maybe we should. I think it's also down to Forster the amount of how good he was. The reason why we're expecting so much from our goalkeepers because of how good Forster actually was when he was playing under Koeman. He was an incredible goalkeeper, and it's a shame that it came down to because of his form and the drop off that he did have, that fans have lost complete confidence in him. It's a real shame. Yeah.
So, any other kind of transfer news, Mike? We know it's your kind of
no
your thing that you cover.
No,
not really.
We have no real names and no real positions or whatever. Ralph's been quite quiet over anything that he'd want to buy or. I think we'll know more as we get closer to January.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, and Mike can fill us in with the transfer things that are coming up because obviously closer to January there'll be more stories floating around. I think there's a slight thing that we got tagged into about Agalu in the fact that he's been scoring for fun in China and he wants to come back to Premier League. I think our name got
still doing stuff in China and he's 35. So
I think his name got thrown into the hat for us, but I think that's very tenuous. Not sure about that. Press conferences, Mike. Can you give us a summary of what happened?
Rest of the press conference, talking about Valerie. He's been out for the last 2 weeks with a virus, and he'll miss out this weekend as well. Armstrong's back in training and is an option for the weekend, which is good news.
Yeah. That's good.
Boufal's having to have injections after stubbing his toe on his coffee table. He's still having to have injections to train, so he'll be a sub at best on Sunday as well.
Does that mean it's short term? Sorry, just to cut off. Is that a short term fix, or is that a
that's definitely a short
rehabilitation?
term fix in injections? I think he's literally being injected with painkillers to allow him to train.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's Hasanutel talking about bravery and the fact that we were lacking confidence after conceding on Sunday and trying to increase self-confidence. And then his little bit about Forster at the end. Wasn't much in the press conference, really. Pretty much the same as every other press conference for the last couple of weeks. Just talking about the confidence of the players and hoping that he can build that confidence over the next couple of weeks to help us improve.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's slight talk about the squad there, and obviously we had a question from Saints. What was the hashtag there? Sorry, the username Saints.
Let's have a look. It did indeed begin with Saints.
Saints,
I will try and find it.
But yeah, so basically talking about the squad, we're
Saints
coming off the back.
FP.
FP asked about the lineup, so we'll do that now. Lineup wise, coming off the back of the defeat, do we still stick with the same squad? How would you change it? What are your guys' thoughts?
If he's ready, I'd love to bring Armstrong back in. But the problem is who do you take him out?
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
That's the only problem. Like, because I wouldn't want to drop maybe Gineppo, but
he didn't have a great game against Newcastle, did he?
He didn't have a great game against Newcastle. He wasn't like overly effective in the Norwich or Watford games. So it does mean that we do lose a bit of pace up front and on the counter attack. But I think with Armstrong, you have another threat out there.
Yeah.
While Gineppo, I think he's quite similar to Redmond in that sense, where he likes to cut inside. He's very tricky. So I'd like to see Armstrong back in the mix if he can play.
Go on, Tiz.
So you could play a 4-2-3-1 and have that him as like.
He's going to stick with 4-3-3.
I know he will, but I like it. I like having an attacking midfielder in the middle because they seem to connect the play a lot.
And then that means you'd have to drop Shane Long or Danny Ings, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't think that.
The problem with that, I know I bang on about this a lot, but when we have Shane Long up top, we have an outball.
Exactly,
when we put Danny Ings on his own, we don't have an outball, and that's when we get stuck, and that's when we get the constant pressure like we had against Everton. We didn't have an outball, we couldn't actually get out of our defence. So having Shane Long up there just gives the centre-backs and the full-backs confidence that if they do pump it long, there is a chance that we're going to retain possession. That's the only thing about dropping Shane Long. I'm very passionate about that.
What you can get as well, I mean, it's a little bit unconventional, but if Armstrong is out on the right, what can happen is if he's on the ball, he can come on inside, and Shane Long can use his pace down the wing if he needs to, and make that run out wide, use his pace, drag either the space and then allow for Danny Ings to get in behind, or he can do. Shane Long can put a decent ball in. We've seen he's got a decent vision on him, and yes, he's a good target man. But if he does come out wide for that slight opportunity to drag out the space using his pace, then Gineppo may not be as needed. If I'm not saying put Shane Long out on the right, but what I'm saying is just occasionally if he's making a run, just drag it wide and allow Armstrong to come into the middle where he's going to be good in playing that attacking playmaker style instead of being out that right.
It also gives us another option. So like if maybe the width isn't working, we can go to 3 central midfielders, play Redmond in the hole, and then bring Long and Ings up top.
Yeah.
You could then play Long on the right, play Armstrong in the middle, and Redmond on the left, and Ings up top. Like there are lots and lots of different ways that you can like change the formation throughout the game. While if you just got Gineppo out there, he's very much an out-and-out winger. He can't really cut inside and play. Or I haven't seen him being able to play in the middle or play up front or anything like that. I think Armstrong just gives another option, another dynamic, and also especially against City, he has a shot. Like
Definitely.
Not a lot of players have a shot and can get him on target and trouble the goalkeeper. Yeah. We saw that against City, and Ward-Prowse managed to get on the end of it.
I think it'll be a very balanced squad if he does come in because, like you said, you've got a good cross on him. He's comfortable at picking a pass. Redmond's got a good shot on him, and he can cut on the inside if he wants. Shane Long can go up top, or he can go down the line with his pace. Danny Ings has got a decent amount of pace on him. So attacking-wise, you've got a very good mix of players there that can do a lot of things. If you want to get in behind, if you want to put crosses in. and if you want to shoot on site, you've got 3 different aspects there that all come into it. And I think it just makes it very well rounded.
If we're still chasing the game, you've got Gineppo off the bench, you've got Adams off the bench, Boufal, Obafemi.
Suddenly you've got
so
strong...
much pace off that bench that they can also affect the game.
Definitely, I think that. Yeah.
My thing is, he's just come off the back of a hamstring injury, so I'd rather put him in for the last 30, last 20 to test it rather than go, you just come back from a hamstring injury. Right now, let's start you and give you 60, 70 minutes. So
I assume he's been training for a certain amount of days.
True, but training's a lot different.
It does depend his condition. If his condition's not fully fit, I don't want him starting. But if he is fully fit and if he's ready and he's prepared for the game, I want him to start over Gineppo.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what my thinking. So we pretty much stick with the back 4. They've had a decent performance. Obviously, Cedric's been a bit slacking now and again, but there's no real options elsewhere for him.
Valerie's still ill.
So I guess back 4 is kind of nailed on.
Unless you go Kane Ramsey, if you give him another shot.
He's not been getting in the squad, so I wouldn't imagine. If he got in the squad this season, I'll be going, there's a possibility, but because he hasn't even got in the squad yet, I don't think personally anyway, I don't see it happening.
No. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of starting 11. We're kind of just saying Armstrong for Gineppo if he is available for the game.
I don't know.
I think
I prefer Gineppo. I'd prefer Gineppo.
Even if Armstrong's fully fit. Yeah,
because I just think from the way we play that we play out on that wing, especially because West Ham a lot, the way they defend, they back off quite a lot, and having a direct runner like Moussa Gineppo just to push their back line back. And you've seen it when they played against Arsenal and Nicolas Pepe. He had a really good game because he's that direct runner. He can go either way as well. He was very effective against against West Ham. So I think that sort of player would really help us in that game.
Okay, yeah, fair play. I feel Armstrong, it could be something different. If he is fully fit, I think he could have a very good game. But yeah, there you go.
I think Armstrong's probably our most underrated player. He's the player that fans don't think he's not the first name on the clean sheet. On the clean sheet.
On the clean sheet. Well, hey.
Not the first name on the team sheet, but I think he adds a lot of quality and a lot of danger to our squad. And
I think he works hard defensively as well.
Yeah,
I think he does. He does get back in behind the ball and will close the ball down. Obviously, Gineppo does that as well. But we saw, I think defensively sometimes it doesn't really track back as much because he does want to get on that break and start attacking wise. Whereas I think if you do need a bit of solid kind of having your winger drop back and help with your fullback, I think Armstrong does give you that availability. But team sheet wise, anything else to add or happy to leave it there? No?
I'm happy.
I just wish Jan Valerie wasn't ill.
Okay.
That's
true.
So, yeah.
Not much we can do about that, unfortunately.
Why not?
Just one last thing. I think that's why it's also important starting Armstrong on the right to actually give cover to Cedric. I think he's a bit more of a better defensive option than Gineppo is, and Cedric is obviously either struggling at the moment or cannot be bothered at the moment. So having Armstrong in there I think is an advantage.
Yeah. Okay. So done the team sheet. Should we go how you think the game's going to go, and then we'll do a prediction at the end? So overall impressions of the game. Obviously West Ham on a poor run of form. It seems like this is Pellegrini's last chance to get some points. If he doesn't win, he's out of the job. How do you think that's going to affect them? How do you reckon the game's going to play out?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there, Ollie, where he will be 100% sacked if he does not win this game.
100% sacked.
Honestly, I don't think he'd still be in the job if he didn't win that Chelsea game. He probably got sacked last week.
Yeah.
However, it's like we were saying a few podcasts back, Southampton seem to be the team that decides whether a manager gets sacked or not. If they can't beat Saints, then you're out the job.
Yeah.
But it's just, it literally is, unfortunately. But it's just, I don't know. I can see us 100% beating them. That's the first time I've said that in a while.
You can see us 100% beating them. So you have no reservations.
Harry's winning betting money on us beating West Ham.
Wow.
Not a chance.
But no, seriously, their team do not fit together at all. It's a bit like us, where the mix of managers buying random players. They think for a lot of money together, They just don't go. They just don't gel. And because of that, there's just a big clump.
What worries me is that there is quality in that team. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. Now, I know they've been on a very bad run of form, and there seems to be no real order in that team. But I think there are players in there to, cause an upset.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it's just they don't. I think we can counter that with our team we have at the moment.
Yeah, I think one thing that I am quite happy is in the fact that we've been fortunate for once in the season. We haven't. They're giving their manager their last chance. Now that seems like a bit of a disadvantage, but I've just pulled up their team sheet and seen they're playing Mikel Antonio up front on his own. I mean,
he's injured.
He's injured. Well, okay, so but they signed Haller for how much was it in the transfer window?
40 million, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that he's only on the bench, I assume he'll come in against us. But something's quite strange with obviously Pellegrini's selections for him to kind of. I mean, Snodgrass, Noble, Rice, Fornals,
yeah.
Fornals.
New signing.
And Anderson in the hole. They're okay on their own, but that team doesn't really scare me, to be honest. I don't want to tempt fate, but there's not too much in there that's really that worrying. I think Snodgrass is quite average. Noble is 32 and kind of past his best days. Rice can have a decent game, but I don't think he's a game changer. I haven't heard too much of Fornal. So defensively, we know there's been issues with their defensive side as well. So I'm fairly hopeful. I'm not 100% like Jamie, but I'm fairly hopeful.
Not a true fan, Ollie.
That doesn't make me a true fan. I just a little bit reserved. That's all. Tiz, Mike, how do you reckon the game's going to go?
I think you got to test. Is it David Martin in goal?
Yeah.
I think you've got to give him a proper test because he showed against Arsenal that even though he had a very good game at Chelsea and it's a fantastic story of him having his first Premier League appearance, getting a clean sheet. It was very nice. Against Arsenal, he wasn't great. So definitely put long shots at him. Try and test him because we haven't really done that. We didn't really. Well, we did that a little bit to Dubravka, but we need to start testing goalkeepers more.
Yeah. Okay, Tiz, your thoughts?
When Southampton play West Ham, there's always a lot of goals. Not since 2016, there's been less than 3 goals in a game. Yeah,
Love
I know. 2 of the times it went for us.
Look at him reading off his phone.
It went against us. No, I knew that. I see
what website is it? Off whoscored.com? Because that's what I'm reading off right now.
What is it? I can see you. I can see the brilliant thing about this, and if you do want to watch it on our video podcast, just for this alone, the fact you can see his eyes moving on the screen as he's reading it off his phone. That's brilliant.
No, I was just making sure when we last got our victory, that was 3.
Classic Tizard, that classic.
Yeah.
The little Harry Tizard.
Finish it off.
I could have done that seamlessly there. You all ruined it.
Well, right. We'll just pretend like this never happened. Go on then.
So we've got. Did you know that in the last until 2016, there's always been more than 3. There's always been more than three goals or more.
Oh wow!
Since I know it's crazy.
Where did you get that from, Tizard?
That's very interesting.
That's amazing knowledge and research right there.
It's just the commitment to the podcast.
And you just said it so smoothly and clearly as well. There was only 3 or 4 stutters in there, and took you about 20 seconds to get it out.
And it was all in one tone as well.
Yeah, to make it really interesting. I'm going to ask you your guys' predictions. What's your score predictions? Just say 2 numbers, Tiz. Anyone? Score predictions?
It's going to be a goal fest. It's going to be 5-4 to Southampton. It's going to be absolutely mental.
I'm writing it down on the
Long
whiteboard.
hat-trick.
Shane Long hat-trick. Tiz, what are you going for?
2-2.
2-2. Okay.
Because he's just read that fact there.
Jamie,
We've
what are
not.
you going
We've not drawn.
2-0 win.
2-0 win. Blimey.
Well, it's funny you say that. We've not actually drawn since 2015, so it would be quite the unique result if the points are shared on Saturday afternoon.
Wow. Well, there we go. I'm going 3-1. I think it'll be reminders of the championship days. Early goal, second just before half time.
Bring your
Third one. They'll get,
That's what I was thinking.
Raise the arms aloft.
and then I reckon they'll get a consolation around 70 and we'll kill it at 85. So yeah, 3-1. Nice.
Complete reenactment of the championship home game, basically.
That's kind of what happened with them, really, wasn't it? Like we'd dominate most of the game. And I think
Should we just wear the same kits as last time as well? We just go back to the old championship.
I mean, they were nicer kits. I prefer them. The rubbish on the ones we've got at the moment. But yeah, I think that right. Predictions done. We'll have a look at those on the reaction. We didn't do them last time because we were just way off. So depends how the game goes. But yeah, we'll have a look at them, see how accurate we were. And if you want to get your reactions into the actual after the game, we'll put something on the Instagram. So Tiz, how do they get the questions in, their reactions in, all that jazz?
Saints Prime on the Instagram.
Jazz.
Tiz, how do they get the questions and reactions in?
Saints Prime on the Instagram. That's how you get it in. It'll be on a story. But one thing we haven't covered thus far is that Jeremy Pied is playing a Champions League football game.
Wow.
He's quality. Honestly, like he was better than Cedric on that right hand side at the moment. So
yeah, well at the moment, yeah, but that's not too difficult. You could get Jamie on that right wing, and he'd be
no.
Jamie
is a goalkeeper.
That's what I'm saying. We know
as well.
There you go. That's the hallmark of a good player when they can play both in goal and a CDM. That's when you know multifunctional right there. A utility player.
I think it's striker and right back.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you can also
Sean Henry.
Mike and Antonio, there you go. Yeah, so they can also have a look on the Twitter, direct links to the podcast, to your favourite podcast and host, to listen to it as soon as it's available. Stick the notification bell on to get a notification for as soon as they're ready. A couple of things on there. I'll give links to it. If you can't find us on Instagram, then there'll be a link on there. Send your questions in and general updates and things like that on there. So keep an eye on that. But it's been me, Ollie. I've also been joined by Harry. Say goodbye, Harry.
You have indeed.
Yeah, I've been joined with Jamie. Say goodbye. Jamie and Mikey.
Bye.
With a dog going mental in the background. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next time.